Hello viewers. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to configure WSO2 Micro Integrator dashboard with WSO2 Micro Integrator along with a relational database management system. Before we get along, we first need to have WSO2 Micro Integrator downloaded as well as WSO2 Micro Integrator dashboard downloaded. For that, you can head on to WSO2.com and then go to products and then click on Micro Integrator. You'll be redirected to this page. You can click download and fill on the details and click the zip archive to download the micro integrator. And as you know, to develop micro integrator artifacts, you need to have the integration studio downloaded. And I'm not going to show that part today because we have seen that in some of my previous videos. So because this video is about micro integrator dashboard and how to configure that and along with a relational database management system, so you should have the micro integrator dashboard downloaded as well. I have already downloaded micro integrator and micro integrator dashboard into my local machine, and if you see here I have number of WSO2 binaries here, so but you should focus on WSO2 Micro Integrator 420 and WSO2 Micro Integrator dashboard here. So I'm going to go into WSO2 Micro Integrator dashboard section, and we need to go into the bin directory, and we can run the dashboard.shell file, sh file, or the batch file to run it in either Unix, Linux type of machine or Windows type of machine as necessary. So if I just go into the other tab, you see I'm already inside the Micro Integrator 420 bin directory. The first thing that we need to do is to configure the dashboard. You need to open up the deployment TOML file. And I already have some changes here, but do focus on what is required at the moment. So in fact, when it comes to the default section, you will have something like this. Forget about these commented lines for the time being. The user store that micro integrator has by default is a read-only LDAP user store, and in fact it's a file-based user store, not a database type user store. And yeah, so with this configuration, to configure the dashboard, you only need to do one thing. So you can just go down here at this section called dashboards, dashboard config, and your dashboard port and the API, because the micro integrator and the micro integrator dashboard communicate along with an API, and dashboard fetches details from the dashboard API, and you also see a few details like the node ID, group ID, and so forth. So this indicates that you can also connect multiple micro integrated instances or clusters to a single dashboard server as well, so that you can look at various micro integrator cluster configurations from that single dashboard. Next up, we need to also look at quickly the micro integrated dashboard deployment TOML file. Your configuration should look like this. Because the micro integrator user store by default has these this user called admin, and the admin user's password is also admin. The default configuration works fine, but if it's not there, you should add that. So with this configuration, I can start the micro integrator dashboard, for example, like this, and you should see it's up and running in few seconds. And then let's also go into the micro integrator. You see the login to micro integrator dashboard using this particular URL. That's the URL that you need to access. But now we need to also start the micro integrator. to connect to the dashboard. So in my micro integrator instance, I do have a few applications deployed, and you should be able to see those artifacts in the dashboard as well once it is started. At the moment, I have not configured a database, but ideally you will want a proper user store. So in the configuration you saw, it's a read-only LDAP, and it's a file-based user store. As you can see now, the micro integrator started, and also if you go look at this, it says these new lines have popped up now. So new node has been registered and connected, and heartbeat details are taken in, and fetching the artifacts from dashboard is now fetching the artifacts from the micro integrator, and so forth. Now let's have a quick look at the dashboard. You can access the dashboard using, because I'm running it in my local machine, you can access it using localhost colon 9743 login. And because there is a default admin account, once you are logged in, you will be able to see this page. And so looking at the dashboard now, you see in this section the group ID, which is the configured group ID in my micro integrator instance. And you see on the left pane various different artifacts like proxy services. For example, if you click on, you will see all the available proxy services. Don't worry about these. What are these proxy services? Coming from some of my previous applications that I have deployed. For example, if you go into these carbon applications, it will show you some applications there. So it looks like I have 3 carbon applications. If you just go into connectors, it will show any available connectors that I have along with my carbon applications, and I don't have any at this point. Endpoints, inbound endpoints, you see APIs, those are like REST APIs, sequences. These are the default sequences, but if you have other sequences, that will all show up here. And if you have data services, it will show up here. Data source configurations, all that will come here. So basically, this is a mostly a read-only dashboard for you to see what's available, what's been deployed in your particular micro integrator instance. And also because you're a admin user, you can also manage users here. But if you click on the users, it says user management is not supported with the file-based user store. Please plug in a user store for the correct functionality. So basically, because I'm using a file-based user store, which comes by default with the micro integrator, you cannot manage any users except this default user. So this is what I want to do actually. So I want to connect a proper relational database management system, which can act as a user store for micro integrator instance. You can also connect a proper LDAP type of user store as well. So we'll keep that for another session. But today we will be configuring a relational database management system along with that. So for that, you can also follow, for installing the dashboard, you can follow WSO2 documentation and also configure a user store section. So it just says file-based user store, and you see you can configure any number of users before you start your micro integrator instance. You can do, but you cannot dynamically manage users in the dashboard, as I just mentioned. So to connect a relational database management system, you need to first disable your file-based user store. So this is what we are going to do. So first of all, I'm going to stop this instance, and you will also see, I cannot log into that anymore. For example, here, if I just log out, and if I try to log in, it's now going to complain that I don't have my micro integrator running. So what I need to first do is first disable my file-based user store, which you can do with this one, right? And I'm just following the documentation here. So enable false file user store, and configuring an LDAP, as I mentioned, that's not my focus for today. I'm going to use this one. So for this, you need to have a database. Obviously, MySQL being one of the popular databases and easier one to test. I have installed MySQL already in my machine, so I'm gonna start that with the root user. So if you see, I just logged into that, and I can see the available databases here. So I first need to create a database for my user store. So for that, you see this configuration needs to be there in the MySQL, in the micro integrator instance, which we can next do. Let's go and configure that. Now I just enable that. So, and then at the bottom of my configuration file, I already had this. You would not have this, so you need to add this thing. If not, you see I'm just connecting with my root. Otherwise you will have to follow other best practices and having proper username and passwords connected. You also see the driver configuration here. So we need to add the driver jar file, and I'm expecting the user database to be the user DB in my local machine. So I'm just going to save this and go back to the configuration file, and it just gives you the details of what are the parameters that you need to have. And there are other database connection parameters like your database pool connections, all that. So all these information such as test on borrow, max weight, min idle, all these things you can configure as you like. And there are the database tuning parameters as well. And we also need to configure this JDBC user store manager, which again we can find it at the top. So we need to now comment that and use the type as the database and the class part as the JDBC user store manager. And if you want this to be a read-only thing, you can enable this also, but we don't want it to be read-only. We want it to be writable as well, right? So I'll just leave it as that, and I have saved it. And next thing that I need to do is I need to set up my database. So setting up database, you will see details here so setting up database, for example, MySQL database. The details are here. I'm going to follow that now. I do know what exactly needs to be done. So let's first create the database, and it has to be of name userdb, right? So make sure that you have the right name there, and then I need to be using that database. And then I need to populate this database. To populate this database, you actually need to use, if you just go into WSO2 Micro Integrators file system, you know there is this DB scripts folder, and in the DB scripts folder you have the MySQL folder. Under the MySQL folder, you need to populate this with the MySQL underscore user SQL. So I need to use that now. So let me take that already, which I have. So I'm just gonna copy paste this. So basically I'm using DB scripts, MySQL user. So when I do this thing, it's gonna get populated, and now everything is ready. And I just need to start my micro integrator and the micro integrator dashboard. Micro integrator dashboard is already running. So let me just have it like this, and let's start. And before that, you also need to copy the MySQL connector file into the lib directory, which I have already downloaded. You can download it from Oracle website as well, and a link for that should also be available somewhere here. If not, you can just find that connector file as well, right? Okay, so let me start the micro integrator. and hopefully it will start without any error. If it starts with any errors, such as if you haven't uh, copied the connector file, it will just say that it can't find the class file, all that. Then you'll have to stop and correct those configurations and other required files that needs to be there in the server as well. Well, it now looks like it is started. For example, you see the micro integrator is started, and with this we should be able to log into our dashboard once again. So let's go into the dashboard here, and let's say admin, and just like in the previous case, you will be able to see the proxy services, APIs, endpoints, and all your artifacts. You should be able to see. Now, if I just go into the user section, now you see the users are listed, and also this add new user button is enabled. I'll just also quickly show in the database what are the tables available here, and you see the role, user, which you can see from here. So you see the admin user is already added. By default, it's the micro integrator instance adds the admin user if it's not available. If it available, it will not do anything, and you will have to use the correct username and password for that user. And now you can go to your dashboard and add a new user. For example, let me say I'm going to add a user called Oliver. And I can either make him a admin or I can just leave it. And when I say that, it says successfully added the user. So now if I go back to my table and look at that, you see Oliver is added. And one thing that I can finally show you is log out and try to log in as user Oliver, and you'll be able to log in as well, and you'll be able to see all the artifacts that's available. You can even download your log files, but you don't see that section of managing users anymore because Oliver is not an admin. And yeah, so it's micro integrator is made uh, as a very lightweight runtime, and that's why the dashboard is a separate component. Previously, many years ago, WSO2's micro integrator was called WSO2 ESB, Enterprise Service Bus. That runtime, when you had downloaded it previously, a, a console or a dashboard was available inbuilt within the application itself, and the binary was quite large and a little bulky. And by removing that console and making it as a separate dashboard, had given the micro integrator more a lightweight footprint, which has made it more container native and cloud native, hence the name of micro integrator as well, the word micro there. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to configure the micro integrator dashboard and the file based user store. Uh, and I'll just wrap up with just one note that file-based user store or a proper LDAP user store is required for some use cases, and you will not be able to explore some functionalities like web services security for your proxy services type of use cases cannot be explored with the default file-based user store. You should have a relational database management system or a proper LDAP connected as the user store for such use cases. File-based user store is sufficient for just connecting the dashboard, which we saw in this video also, right? Before connecting the database management system, we were still able to connect the micro integrated dashboard. But there are certain use cases, as I mentioned, that requires a file-based user store. That is file-based user store is not sufficient for that, and you require a relational database management system or a proper LDAP for that user store. So having said that, for production environments also, WSO2 does not recommend file-based user stores. It's better to connect a proper LDAP or a relational database management system. And having said that, we come to the conclusion of this particular video, and I will see you in another video very soon, and hope you enjoy the video. Thank you very much.